This is Pops in a Pod, episode 12, Covid-19, India Lockdown, part 2.
Welcome back, Nadir, to our weekly now Skype call.
Yeah, hi Peter. I know this. Honestly, I'm kind of liking it. It's good to be, walking around in the room, holding the earphones and this tiny mic near my mouth and talking. It's nice. It gives a different feel, So I like it. I don't know about you.
And I'm sure our listeners are glad to hear that we're practicing social distancing.
Oh, massively.
But how have things been the last week since we last connected, man?
Well, we spoke about the lockdown initiation, and it was so strange because every day something was changing. Remember, like when we spoke a couple of weeks back, it seemed pretty optimistic. Then this whole nationwide 1.3 billion people under lockdown, and now we are 1 week into this lockdown. I mean, so far so good, but as my friend told me that I'm experiencing cabin fever. I think I'm kind of going through it myself, but I'm finding ways to keep myself busy, whether that's work or whether that's my daughter or the family or whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, things could be better, but currently making do with whatever that we have at hands right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about because uh, that's what I was experiencing last week. That's why I was so kind of down in our conversation. But this week, I guess I've kind of built a routine around everything I do, uh, kind of sneaking away just to do the essential groceries, keeping that to minimal. But yeah, that's one of the things that is kind of keeping me going this whole week.
And that's the most necessary things, right? Like going grocery. Like I never imagine going to grocery would get my heart beating so fast, right? It's like, oh my god, going for groceries and essentials, awesome. I get to go get out of the house, It's like too much excitement just to go get groceries. And like my mom's like, oh my god, there's no bread in the house. Don't worry, I'm going to go get bread for you. Don't worry, I'm doing it. So this is weird excitement just to go down across the street and buy a loaf of bread. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to essentials, that's my state of mind, and it just gets me all like pumped up. Like, yeah, come on, let's go and get essentials.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange that most of the stores around me are kind of open and stuff, and it's very strange to see everyone in masks. But the big kind of supermarket in the area where I have, which is kind of like where you get all the bulk buying that you do for the week or so. So every few days, things have been changing and the rules have been changing. Of course, you know, they allow only 25 people at a time and things like that. But a few days back when I went, now I'm glad one of my neighbors who I happened to see in the building, which is a very rare scenario now, told me that you need to line up at 7:30 a.m. They're giving out coupons. And depending on the time slot that you get in that coupon, then you can actually go. So for I don't know which time, after a while, I was in a line of say about 100 odd people at 7:15 in the morning waiting for that priced coupon. 7:30, we stand in line, get the coupon. I got a slot at 10:30 in the morning later, so 3 hours later. And I was
So you
kind of
have to
lucky
wait for
because I was
3 hours. Then.
no, I ended up walking back home. Luckily, it's just a couple of kilometers away from home. But think about it, man. Like for us, at least I had to wait. Imagine you ran out of something and you needed, how long would you kind of wait? I was expecting, honestly, to be getting a slot later on in the evening. But, these are things I guess you took for granted back, let's say, last month or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in such little time, there are so many things that I think we must have taken for granted. But just basic essentials, I think that kind of tops my list. right there. And you mentioned something very interesting, the whole coupon giving thing. I don't remember the last time where I had to sit for a coupon. I think one was in a bank, which was, I think, definitely a decade ago, and the other time was when you had to go fix your phone
Yeah,
at these network service network providers. That was the only time I remember this whole coupon system thing. Otherwise, I don't remember when was the last time we actually got a coupon for anything.
yeah, true.
But interesting that you mentioned that you you had there was this whole line coupon system thing where it is so systematic that there are some establishments that actually practice this method, and I think it's great because they clearly don't want people to kind of get into any trouble. But Peter, recently I went. When I say recently, I mean a couple of days ago. My wife and I had to go and get a lot of groceries because we kind of ran out, and I was driving, and obviously the streets were empty. There was barely anyone on the streets, barring a couple of bikers and one or two, public transportation vehicles. But I saw a very intriguing yet strange sight.
Okay.
So, um, you know how we use our stoves, correct? There's this
Yeah.
huge 14, 16 kilogram hard iron or steel cylinder that the government provides you with, through contractors or whatever it is. And then every time it finishes, they will send you a refill if you call them. Now,
Sure.
because of the situation that we are in, um, a lot of households they cannot just call in a refill. So I'm driving towards this market, and suddenly in the middle of the road, I see this massive line. Okay, like people are queuing up. There's this huge line, and instead of people standing in the line, there were these red cylinders, one behind the other, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like I suddenly slowed down, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on, and all of them have lined up behind this big truck, which is filled with these cylinders. And people are just waiting their turn to replace the empty cylinder that they got from home with the full 16 kilo cylinder, which they have to take back home. So some of them are on their two wheelers, some of them are just walking, two, three people carrying it and walking back, and it was just crazy. In fact, I've actually shot it so our listeners could see that little video clip back on our website.
Wow, Nadir. I can't even imagine being in a situation like that. It's really something.
Yeah, and imagine this is peak summers are going to start in India, so it's crazy that people have to stand like that in the middle of the road in that heat. It's sad.
And I must add to the whole conversation we had earlier about groceries. I mean, it may seem that for us this is an escape, but considering we live in bigger families, it's kind of important that we are the ones who go out, those who are in better health and less susceptible, I guess, to the COVID-19.
I completely agree. It's essential that you and I who are still on uh, the better side of 50, we still have whatever little remaining youth on our side to kind of tackle this condition. But yeah, it's kind of essential that we go. But then parents, right? It kind of gets tough to kind of manage them sometimes.
Yeah, I can't even trying to like imagine explaining to your parents why they shouldn't be going out and something they're so used to doing on a regular basis.
Correct. And for exactly this, we've invited someone who we both know, um, Neeraj Jain. I still work with him, as in we work together
Yeah,
at the agency. And interesting story because he recently went to Spain for a holiday when things hadn't, sort of blown out of control. But the minute he landed in Mumbai, is when things started getting really, really strange. Let's hear what he has to say about the COVID-19 experience that he's kind of going through right now.
Yeah, it is. It was pretty weird knowing the fact that almost when at the end of the trip, I kind of had an idea that this is going to happen for sure. But I still didn't have any expectation as to how it would turn out to be. But since the time I've landed here, 14 days, it is not easy. It is, trust me, it's not at all easy. You will think that, you'll just spend some time in a room and, you'll watch shows, you'll still be working. But eventually, after 2 to 3 days, it becomes monotonous. And by the time, I think by fourth or the fifth day, I really wanted to like just get out of the house and just step out and maybe just take a walk in my building, but that wasn't possible. In fact, I wasn't even because of the way the situation was. I was still just in this one room. I used to get food. It was just used to be kept outside the door. Like my sister, who's there right now, who was taking care of me, would just keep the bottle, keep the food, and then it's like I have to open the door. I have to like take the food, shut the door, eat, and then just like wait for her to get out of the kitchen and then just go clean, wear gloves, wear mask, just so that we can, just to be cautious. It's a complete tedious process.
So there was no physical contact whatsoever with your own sister in your own house.
Yeah, I mean, now that's the thing right now. All the government has told is that you have to self isolate and, you have to make sure that for 14 days you stay in this one place, one room. Uh, and there are no other conditions that have been mentioned. So, people will take certain extra measures. And I mean, I also did take certain extra measures where there was a social distancing done within my household itself. And I barely, I mean, even if I have to talk to my own sister, there is like a distance that was maintained. And we would talk from one room to another where I would ask her to give me something. And then she would politely come and, like help me out. But so that's the thing. Like people did take certain extra measures. I'm assuming I certainly did. Made sure that I was in this one room, and most of the things within the room, I kept sanitizing it. Even though no one's entering the room, there was just something in the back of my head where if I'm using a hair dryer, and I would just take the sanitizer, clean it, and keep it back again. So there were many things that you kind of take that extra precaution for. But
Of
yeah,
course.
but it wasn't that easy. I mean, 14 days. In one way, I didn't even realize how quickly it went. But at the same time, you do think that it's extremely slow. Like every evening, I could just I'm just sitting by the window and I'm just seeing like, now what do I do? What do I do next? What do I see next? I'm done. Like it was just like that. So many thoughts that were running in my head, and eventually I gave a lot of thoughts, a lot of time, because I had a lot of time. So I have thought about very random things. I have procrastinated a lot, and I have thought about what will I do after 21 days. How will things be different? Oh, what will be the first thing I do after I get a chance to just get out of the room? I've developed all those thoughts in my head, and hopefully I'll do certain things that I have planned, which is run from my room to the hall and then just come back to the room. That's my travel plan. That's my travel plan for the day that I have. And yeah, so those are the kind of things that I was planning. And so you can imagine the state I am in right now. But yeah,
I can.
it's fun and it's different, and I just hope people are taking those extra measures and not getting restless and just saying, what, it's not happening to me. I'm feeling fine and still just going out. That's one thing that we should ideally avoid and be a bit patient about.
So Neeraj, let's get this right. You told your dad that he'd have to leave his own house for his own safety. It's a bit like, reverse parenting of sorts. How is that? How did you go about that?
Yeah, like how I said, firstly, I spoke to him. I tried to convince him that what, it's good. Like just go, think of it as a vacation. Don't think I'm sending you away anywhere else. But he did mention he was, he had his reservations. He wasn't really agreeing. He said nothing will happen. We'll make sure there is distance that is maintained. Then my whole point was, wait, let me just have a chat with my sister. Then I think my sister also tried convincing him. and told the same thing, saying it's okay. You need a vacation. You need a break. Just go for it. Don't think much about it. We'll take care. We'll handle it. And I think he got convinced a little, but then at the same time, he was still saying, no, I want to stay at home. I want to like just make sure he is fine. Uh, to an extent, so I think I made sure like what I did was I spoke to my sister then separately, and like we were just discussing how then do we make sure that our parents go to the second home and not stay in the current house. So that's when she got this idea that you know what, wait, let me just have a chat with our family doctor, and if nothing is working, where he's not listening to her and he's not even listening to me, maybe the doctor might help. And it did, where our doctor just gave a call to my father and he said, Mr. Jain, I know you're fit and fine, but at the same time, it's better you go and just think of it as, again, he just basically said the same things that both his kids were trying to explain to him. Like, just think of it as a vacation, Mr. Jain. Just go. Up tension mat lo. And for some reason, just because the doctor said so, he agreed. And he was like, no, you're right. Because of the fact that I have diabetes, thoda risky ho jayega. So it is better that I go. And then that's where I think then I just landed in Bombay and landed, I think, around 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. And I was talking to my sister constantly, where she told me everything is sorted. Dad has agreed. By the time when you reach home, after your certain procedures that happen at the airport and at the hospital, mom and dad will be going to Palghar. And so I'm like, brilliant. I mean, that was a tension that I had, that I came with, and it got sorted. But yeah, so the whole fact that the moment the doctor came in the picture, things got sorted. So yeah, thanks. And my doctor's name is also Dr. Modi. So I think that worked.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, that's quite a crazy situation that he went through. Not only was he in quarantine, but also trying to get his parents away and kind of explain the seriousness of the situation. That's no easy task.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of sad. First of all, you don't see your son for 2 weeks because he's on holiday, and then when he does come back, you again don't get to meet him. So all in all, for an entire month, maybe more, you don't get to see your child, and from his perspective, his own parents. So yeah, it's tough, and we now get to hear it from other people also that things are getting strange. But this is something that everyone is going through. These are unprecedented times, and there's nothing you can do about it. But tell me, Peter, that was just Neeraj's perspective and his little prison that he made at home. What's your experience like being so far, staying at home?
Like said earlier, and I just want to further build on that. Not only did I build a routine, but now I've kind of revisited some of my hobbies. So, when I lived alone as a bachelor, I did enjoy kind of experimenting over the weekends, cooking and stuff like that. And now is a chance where, you're at home. So why not make the best of the situation? So I've kind of been trying my hand at cooking, and challenge becomes that because you have limited resources or groceries that you're picking up, finding something that's equally appetizing to a 3-year-old as well as you, and yeah, getting the right amount of spices and things like that. So yeah, that's been a fun experience so far. But maybe let's speak about this in 10 days or so, and maybe I won't have the same opinion, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because everyone has different tastes, and you just kind of need to literally suck it all up and just
Yeah.
continue sort of being on, some sort of a level plane where everyone is like, okay, you like this, you take this, and we all enjoy it the way it is. Less salt, less spiciness, whatever it is, just deal with it. I don't think we are in any position to argue with anyone right now. But I agree, Peter. When I have been kind of, apart from whatever work obligations that we have, outside that, there are so many things that I have also started doing. So I've picked up the guitar again, and not just for myself, even for my daughter, because I want her to learn a musical instrument, and if she sees me playing, maybe I don't know. Hopefully, she'll also kind of pick it up. So I've just I've kind of just getting my finger placements right again, because it's been so long since I have touched the instrument. So it's like going back to basics, you know. But yeah, it's an enjoyable situation. It's almost like there's nothing to do, right? I wake up at like 10:30 in the morning, and like it's going back to college days where there's nothing much to worry about, and no fixed schedules or whatever it is. You want to bunk a few classes, yeah, go ahead, bunk a few classes. So I just feel, you know, it's like the time has sort of rewound itself about 10-15 years ago. So it's interesting. My reading has gone up. Obviously, watching movies and things like that has gone up. I also took it upon myself where I walked up to my mom one day and I said, "You know what? I'm going to learn how to cook. So you have to teach me." That was the only day I was in the kitchen for the purpose of learning to cook something. I haven't entered again, but I want to. I really want to enter the kitchen to learn to cook something, you know, apart from basic breakfast things. I really want to take that up, but I don't know. For whatever reason, my mom's just not calling me into the kitchen. She's just
so
not.
so, I'm, so I predict once we get out of this lockdown, there's going to be a pops cook off or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, see, in your case, I completely understand that it's just you, your wife, and your son at the moment. So between the two of y'all are managing meals and everything all by yourselves. But in my case, my mom's there. She's a great cook, and I don't think anyone wants to interfere with her routine, because you know these masters like to work all by themselves. So even if I want to be the apprentice, I don't think she wants to take up the offer at all. She's like, screw this. He's just going to ruin everything, and I'll have to do it all over again. So yeah. I'm kind of keeping her alone and aloof.
So it's also quite interesting that you're saying that, Nadir, because my son, now that he sees me in the kitchen and my wife and stuff like that, because normally he'd only see us over the weekend, and since he's spending the entire day with us, he wants to at some point, get on a little stool, stand up, and say, "Oh, mommy, I'm cooking for you," and then he'll bring to us just in a bowl of water, say, "Mommy, this is soup. Oh, I made this soup for you, tomato soup for you." So it's kind of cool, I guess, that kids are now learning from our example and seeing what we're doing. So it's good in a way.
No, that's sweet. I agree. Even my daughter, she's pretty hands-on with things, and you know, we always joke about this, that she was born in the kitchen, because she loves hanging out with my mother, who's her grandmother, and she's picked up basic things like, you know, whipping an egg, stirring something, or you know, just washing plastic cups because they won't break, you know. So she also knows her way around the kitchen. So in a way, that's good, you know. But in this time, if I'm not doing something really important, or at night, you know, when everyone's fallen asleep and I just can't fall asleep, and I don't know what to do, I found myself doing some really weird things. Um,
Okay.
so that day, I was going through my phone, and I just happened to go into my SMS, you know, the texts apart from your WhatsApps and all, and I just said, okay, let me just see, you know, what kind of spam messages or random messages that I get. And my God, I get some really weird messages. I got this one message, and I kid you not, Peter, it was like a plea. It like somebody was sounding desperate and almost on the lines of "Come help me," and they put their own email ID, and I was like, "Oh my God, is this phishing?" Or like it sounded very
Probably.
like scary, you know, that, "Oh, I'm in this situation, come and help me. Here's my email ID. Please write to me." Something on those lines. Then I got some random message from a tiger reserve where they want me to come and hang out at the resort, and like really weird stuff. Then I got this invitation from some online cards gaming portal, and so my point is that I have so much time right now. I'm actually literally going through my text messages, opening each and every one, and looking at the content, and I'm deleting it. So earlier it was all like, okay, yeah, select all, delete. Now I'm actually reading all of that shit. So it's kind of weird, and you know, after a point, what happens is that once your work is done, your basic work, during the day is done, you still want to feel busy. So
Yeah.
there is this protective bird net outside my window. I just go and start cleaning each and every strand of that nylon net because I'm just so obsessed by removing all that dust from them. My mom's like, "What is wrong with you? It's just going to come and settle again tomorrow. So there's no point doing this. It's a futile exercise." And I'm like, "You don't get it. It gives me satisfaction. Just let me do it." It's like, "Okay, fine, do man, whatever you want to do." So I don't know if I'm kind of bordering madness, or is this who I really am? It's crazy that it had to take this worldwide pandemic to really understand who you are and what are you doing in your own house to keep busy.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're talking about us here. Can you imagine what our kids are going through? I mean, now not only have they been in the house for 2 weeks, they've not gone to their schools, not met their friends. I mean, I did mention the last time that my son doesn't really miss school, but he actually did start taking names of, his classmates and saying, "When can I see them? Oh, my friend, this is what they do." And it's kind of hard, how do you explain to your kid that, it's going to be a while? I mean, they don't understand the concept of time as yet, so you can't even tell them like 2 weeks more or stuff like that. But yeah, that does become a little tough, right?
Absolutely. I am completely with you on this. In fact, something very similar what your son has gone through. Even my daughter is kind of going through the same thing. She does not remember school. Well, not remember, but I don't think it has come in her mind space that there is something related to school. Recently, one of her teachers messaged my wife, sweet old lady, asking that, how is she doing? Is she okay? And then she sent some photos of the class and where we showed it to her, and she like, do you recognize? And she recognized each and every kid, and then she made this admission that, oh, you know what? So and so and so are my best friends, and can we call them home? And I was like, oh my god, she remembers them. She wants to call kids over, like a small like party sort of thing. And at that point we kind of felt bad, but then she just kind of ran away, started doing her stuff in her own room, and it's like, oh well, if she's forgotten, why should we care? So yeah, it's great that they don't miss school, but then again, we need to keep engaging them at every level, so that they don't get bored or they don't lose their minds like sort of we are. But I don't know. I guess they're kids. Maybe they don't have to lose their minds, or they don't lose their minds the way we do, I suppose.
Yeah, with my son, so his school also, they messaged us on WhatsApp. One of the cool things we did to engage him. So I don't know if you've tried this as yet, but when you Google on your phone the name of an animal, when you scroll down through, I think, 3 or 4 search results, there's view in 3D. So through
Yes,
augmented reality,
absolutely.
yeah.
I've tried that too. I've tried that too.
And it's so it's like my son went, the most obvious: lion, tiger, panda, which is damn cute, and then cheetah. For some reason he went, and then he goes elephant. And when I searched elephant, there was no elephant. So I was like, okay, wait, let's look at the cheetah again. but that's a
It's
pretty
crazy. That's
neat
the exact lineup that we went through. I started off with the lion, then I went to a tiger, then I went to the panda because somebody sent me a screenshot of the panda, and then I started trying out other different animals like giraffe, elephant, all of that. But yeah, some of them are not there. But very cool, man. Like really entertaining. Though my daughter got a little freaked out, and she's like, I don't like this. I want, whatever, some education lab, Khan Academy Kids, something. I want to play. I said, okay, fine, okay, go ahead, do that. But yeah, very cool stuff from Google.
trying to get him, like, he kept asking me last week about going to the park. So I told him, if we go out, the police will come and get you, because I thought that's the most logical and easiest way to kind of spook him. So earlier today,
I've done that
I
too.
was,
I'm guilty of that as well.
so earlier today when we told him that we're taking him out, he says, "No, daddy, police will come and catch you." And I was like, wow, this is like now him giving it to me. So he's kind of bought the story, I guess.
So in my house, I'm definitely guilty of that charge, and I think even my parents have sort of drilled that in our head that the cops are doing their rounds or whatever. And from my window, you can see a cop car or a cop van doing the rounds and making those announcements that go back into your house and don't loiter on the streets or whatever. So there is validation now for my daughter. So ever since that, it's kind of stuck in her head that you can't go down, and she refuses to go down. Like for her, 5:30, um, it was like, okay, I have to go down. I have to play with the neighbor kids. But now she refuses. It's almost, you can see the stress on her face the minute you say that, okay, let's go down for a walk. Just in the society compound. And she refused, like, no, I'm not coming. So one day I said, okay, you know what, maybe we've really freaked her out about this whole cop thing, because she thinks someone's going to pick her up, some cop is going to pick her up and throw her in jail. So I told my security guard that just open the terrace, and maybe I can take her to the terrace because that's also open. She'll get plenty of sunshine and fresh air or whatever. She refused to go there as well. So it's kind of freaky. I mean, in a way it's good because she's then protected, but she refuses to go down, and I just kind of feel bad that it's my fault.
Yeah, man. I hope she kind of gets through this phase quickly, I hope.
I seriously hope so, because we've already crossed like 1 week um, of this lockdown, and we've kind of survived this so far, but no idea what the other 2 weeks have in store for us.
So yeah, last week we put a call out for other parents who are in similar situations to us in the lockdown, and we did hear back from our friend circle itself. Nadir, you want to take this one away?
Yeah. So our first guest parent is this very good friend of mine. His name is Zainul, and he's a parent to 7-year-old twin boys. And just that thought itself is enough to kind of drive me up the wall, because here we have to deal with one child, and over there he has to deal with two boys. So yeah, let's just hear it from him.
It's actually a bigger advantage, not just for me, because you can say if I'm handling them for like 7 hours in a day, out of that 3 hours, so they play by themselves only. So yeah, so the time to be with them cuts down a little, and they also don't look for me in that particular. They also like, yeah, this is my football time, this is my playing cards time with my brother only, so it's fine.
Then where does the trouble really start?
The trouble starts when they are see. I think they are going to come right over and they'll tell me that this guy has done this guy has done that, and that happens every 5 minutes. That guy is speaking in my card. Have you looked at your card? No, but he's trying to. But it's okay, na? Handle it. Now then it gets on my nose, that everything that there's going to be a fight. So yeah, that is getting on my, on my novel little. That it's like constant fights are there, constant. And at least in 20 minutes, one fight is going on, and in every 2 hours there is one punch thrown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like
so you're playing the role of a dad and a referee.
Oh yeah. 100%. I'm constantly there, like separating them, trying to discipline them also. Yeah. It's a whole like a game only I'm managing. So definitely, yeah, right in saying that. So before the lockdown, my mother used to tell me, because I work full time. I come home by 7 o'clock in the evening, and my wife also is working. She also comes by 6:37. So we don't come to know. So my mother's like, they're playing some game where they're fighting a lot. And they're falling down. I'm like, okay, these are boys, they will fall down. It's okay. I didn't pay much attention to it. So during the lockdown, a few days back, Rohan said to Zidane that let's play the foul play game. I was like, what is this foul play? I'm like, let me see what is this foul play game. So where they whack each other's legs.
Oh God.
One person is running and whacking, like, what is this? And with the ball. Basically, you have to foul. And whoever fouls wins the game. I was like, what is this going on?
In football, how you tackle a player
Yeah,
and
tackle is a foul.
okay,
If you have a successful tackle or you miss time tackle also, you win this game.
right.
And I
What?
saw one falling. The one who created the game only fell so badly.
Oh God.
And he bled from his elbow also. And
Oh,
it's
so
like, why are you doing
they've
this?
really done a rough and tough kind of a game over here, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's laughing all the time. Like, you created this game. This is such a bad game. So this is how the day goes also. They just create their own games also sometimes, even though this was not a very good game for our children to play. But yeah, something in their head comes. My children are very active that way. So very physically active also. So yeah, they played this game and it blew my mind completely. And I was very strict with them that you cannot play this game at all now. So they were a little disappointed because I think they played this game for a good 15-20 days.
Wow, man. As cool as that sounds, that was equally daunting for me because here I am dealing with 1 3-year-old boy. He has 2 7-year-olds to deal with. And I think by 7, kids get quite curious also. So the endless amount of questions and answers that you have to provide throughout the day, that would be quite a task.
Yeah, I mean, see, there's always a balance, right? So they're older boys. They will listen to you. They have a clear sense of understanding and comprehension when you explain certain things to them. But then it's the classic double trouble, right? Like how
Yeah.
Zenil said that they keep each other company, which is great. But then when the fights break out, you're less of a dad and more of a referee. So I
True.
can't imagine going through that. But then yeah, he has to do it. He's kind of signed up for it. So that's his life now.
So the second guest parent we've got is a childhood friend of mine, Natasha. Actually, her mom and my mom used to teach at the same school together in Abu Dhabi. So we've
Oh,
kind of
sweet.
grown up together and known each other for quite some time. And she has a 4-year-old son. So we've kind of transitioned from friends, growing up together, to now being parents and having similar age kids. And she has also quite an interesting story of her son during the lockdown. So let's listen to that.
I think the one big advantage is that the son would not have those many vegetables, wouldn't even eat khichdi because he was so fed up of it, okay? And now that he's stuck at home, he has to survive. So we explained the entire virus situation and we explained to him, we all need to fight the virus. And for that, we need to eat healthy. And for that, you have to eat khichdi, you have to eat vegetables and all. So feeding, which was earlier such a difficult task, has now become so much easier, which is so ironic. Because he now says that, okay, I have to become strong. So I have to eat my khichdi, I have to eat rice and dal, I have to eat beetroot, have to eat broccoli. So that's a huge advantage and that's great. Another positive thing that's happened out of this entire situation is, figuring out different ways to engage him and play with him and all. Like he made a makeshift slide, put his bed and extra pillows and all from the sofa, and he made a slide, or these obstacle courses that he's made, which keeps them energized and them very busy through at least for an hour, at least for 1 or 2 hours, and you can finish your work course and finish cooking or cleaning up the kitchen and all that. So that's interesting to see how kids come up with different ways to engage themselves. So that's been a lot of fun and that's been exciting as well. And that sort of keeps our spirits up and, helps us stay positive and optimistic. That's most important.
So I'm just going to ask you a question here. Since you talked about, the virus and you explained to him, what was the way you kind of broke it down or explained to him what's happening currently around the world, or at least in the city?
So basically, his grandparents stay one building away. And his very close friends also stay a building away and they generally meet every day. So he kept saying, why can't I go? Why can't I go to school? Why can't I go meet Ajay and Bapama? Why can't I meet my friends and everything? So we explained to him that there is a virus. We didn't mince our words, okay? There is a virus out there which is affecting everybody. And if you meet people and you interact with them, you're going to fall sick. And if you fall sick, you will get fever. You can't watch Peppa Pig. You can't watch Transformers. You can't play. So you'll be very sick then. And we don't want you to be sick, and you don't want daddy and mommy to be sick also. We don't want grandparents to be sick. We don't want Maushi, who is the nanny. We don't want her to be sick. Everybody has to be safe. So in order for everybody to be safe, you need to stay at home. So every day he asks, he wakes up in the morning and he will ask, is the virus gone? Has the virus gone? When will the virus go? Did it run away? Did you kill it? So he is asking. It's not that he's not asking, and he's very much aware that there is something happening in the world right now. I think the hardest over here is to keep your cool and not to let your anxiety rub off on yourself. And that's very difficult to do because we are human beings. We have tough days, whether it's work or whether it is managing the house and cleaning and cooking and everything, doing everything together. So that's the toughest part. So by the end of the day, I apologize to him if I have been short with him or cross with him in a particular day. And I explained to him that, see, I am also affected in this situation. I also want to go out, but I can't because of the virus. So it's not something that applies just to him. He should know that it applies to everybody.
Yeah.
This is how we deal with the situation.
Rita, I must say that was absolutely ingenious of Natasha to, push more vegetables to her kid, because it's crazy, to come up with that entire thing that, oh, you need more vegetables because it's a very serious time. It's crazy. It's brilliant. And I think her child is also at that age where I suppose he kind of gets it that, oh my God, if I don't do this, then bad things will happen to me. I think they have that sense of good and bad. So I think that was a great play from her. I mean, I'm going to try it out. I'm definitely going to try it out on my kid later down, the line.
And I think this is the time, where it's very essential for us parents to trade notes and pick up tips and tricks from each other. I also really enjoyed the way she explained, the whole COVID-19 situation to her son, because he's also at an age where she's not kind of scaring him at the same time, but also just making him aware of the repercussions of going out and what can happen. So I really liked that also.
No, precisely. And this is exactly what Pops in a Pod, the platform, is all about, right? Where you're sharing interesting stories, you're sharing experiences so that you can also learn something from other parents, and your rules are just not kind of set in stone. So I love it. It's just fantastic. The kind of things that we're sharing, especially in this period where no one knows where things are kind of headed. So I mean, I love this whole fellowship that we've kind of created, or whatever, trying to create. Our last guest for today is Ashita. Again, we used to work together, and she's a bit of a special guest in the sense that she's not a parent, but she lives in a joint family with her brother, her sister-in-law, parents, and one 2-year-old kid. So I wanted to get a perspective of a non-parent but living in a household with a child. Let's hear her out.
So my niece loves her grandmother. That is my mother. She is like always daddy, 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 daddy all day long.
Right.
So she has started. So because she sees everybody every day now all day long, she has started imitating whatever we do. For example, so we are into yoga. I mean, my father especially, he's been doing yoga since the past 20 years or so.
Oh, okay.
So every morning he sits down on the mat, and my niece keeps watching him, and now she imitates him. Like so whenever we ask her, what is Dadu doing, she'll be like, Dadu is doing yoga. And I'm like, how does he do it? And then she'll like breathe in and breathe out. She will actually show it. And I'm like, you think too, and you still know what is yoga. So first of all, I think my niece is having an amazing time seeing everybody at home now.
Okay.
But then I think she misses being out. But then, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of roles, that I've been taking up. I mean, though I'm a working woman. But then since the lockdown is there and I've been at home, I've been, now spending my day with most of the time with her, teaching her ABCDs, numbers 1 to 10, sometimes it's like what my sister-in-law used to do. Now I've taken those jobs for like combing her hair, and she hates it. and she cries, but that's how it is. Because so we are in a family of curly hair, and yeah, so everybody in my family have curly, and you know how curly hair are so hard to manage,
Right.
and they have a lot of tangles. So she's like in pain, but yeah, this is how it has been. You know, my mom has been doing it to me, and now it's like passing on a legacy.
That's really, really cool to hear, man. Nadir. I mean, I never really lived in a joint family. I've only heard such stories, but yeah, I really, at these times you kind of appreciate the bonding that you have or that forms within a family. So yeah, that's really cool, man.
Exactly. I think what she said in a very matter of fact manner that bonding is so essential, right? That everyone is kind of trying their best to provide not just for themselves but even for that little child, and that's exactly I think what you need in this period, in this situation. And hopefully all of us get through this safe and sound, and we can resume our normal lives as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I must add, right now my family, my immediate family, is split between three different countries, the
Wow.
UK, UAE, and India. So recently, since UAE has finally dropped its restrictions on video apps and VoIP uh, apps and stuff like that, we've been using Zoom, which most people have been using for meetings, but we've been doing at least twice or thrice a week calls over Zoom. So it's up to our boss, which is our dad, as to what time we can meet, and then we kind of align all our times together. And even though it's been like a week or so that we're doing it, I really feel that, just the chance that you get to see each other, check up on each other. And sometimes we're just discussing like the most mundane stuff, like what food we've cooked, what groceries we've made, what my dad has discovered Netflix and Amazon movies. So he's been watching that, just trading that. And it makes you feel that, even though you're split apart over three countries, you're still sitting in the same room having a chat at the end of your workday. So I'm really learning to appreciate that.
That's the beautiful irony of the situation, right? Where you find something so precious and special in absolutely basic, mundane things.
I think that's it from us for this week. But we'd definitely love to hear more stories from a situation like this. Let us know, how are you coping? What are you doing? If you're a parent, even if you're not a parent, we'd definitely love to hear from you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's moments like these that, we always wait for. This whole platform is about sharing stories, sharing wonderful ideas and experiences. And if you have anything at all for us, we would love to have you on our show. But before that, if you want to share something interesting, you can write to us on popsinapod@gmail.com, or you can just search for popsinapod on Instagram and just leave a comment on any of our posts, and rest assured we will respond.
So until next week, here's Peter Pop.
And this is Nadir Pop, and we all pray and hope that this ridiculous virus just disappears.